trying to find what we deem a franchise quarterback is just so hard, man. And just like Tom Brady, Belichick just found a diamond in the rough. He found the GOAT. You know what I'm saying? He found the unicorn in a draft that didn't really have quarterbacks that were lighting things up.
Right.
Now the chances of the Eagles finding that, I don't know. I mean, you see Pickett being that guy.
To say in the business, hump day, Barrett.
Hump day?
Hump day in the middle. Yeah, right. You're Mr. Commercial. You love that commercial, probably. But it's kind of that midweek, bye week. It's like really a big sort of lull in the sports calendar here in Philadelphia, and we got some lingering issues that we can choose to drag on. And then I found out from Xander that there's very good reason to drag on a little Minshew mania discussion, because one Jimmy Johnson, the Jimmy Johnson, not the race car driver, the football coach,
yes,
was on with Big Sills yesterday, and apparently had some glowing praise for Mr. Minshew. So we're going to get to that on this show. And we've also got Mike Gill, our buddy from 97.3 down in Atlantic City, wrote a piece on his on their website about Minshew Mania and compared it to the holiday season. I thought it was brilliant. I read it, and I want to bring Mike on today. So he's going to join us at 12:30 to talk about that and anything else that might be on his mind. And then, of course, we got Jason Martinez. We got to bring him on to discuss a little bit of this Flyers situation, because that is one of the other issues in the Philadelphia sports scene. Like it or not, the Flyers still need a coach. They've got an interim guy right now that we know is probably not the guy, and they've got plenty of issues, and we're going to discuss that and some other stuff with Jason at noon. So between now and then, Barrett, we've got a couple of things to kick around. Ben Simmons, the Flyers, Minshew, all that kind of good stuff.
At this point, Minshew is only going to have steam because we're not playing. Once Hurts gets back into the saddle,
I agree,
we'll forget about it.
Right. If we had the Washington football team on deck this Sunday, we would probably not be talking much about Minshew. I agree.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. But, I mean, he did play well. We can't deny that fact.
No, he did.
And, everybody say, oh, it's just the Jets.
Yeah.
The Jets' worst player can outplay a whole lot of people. You know what I'm saying? Right. He's still an NFL pro.
Right. And I will say it's just the Jets. But I also said when Jalen Hurts had that great game week 1 against the Falcons, it's just the Falcons.
Right, exactly.
So we got to be fair. I said the same about both. And I'm still sticking by my thought right now that I don't think either one of these guys, Hurts above Minshew, is the guy.
Well, it depends on what the guy and how we define it. See, that's what a lot of people aren't doing. They're not defining what they see as the guy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
like a franchise guy.
Well, it's a franchise guy, but you can have a guy that's winning a lot of games, but you don't consider him a franchise guy. A lot of people don't differentiate between a guy that's successful on the field, which a guy that can go out there and maintain the offense, can run the offense. You don't have to worry about him. He's not going to make mistakes. He's not going to make any turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to go out there, do his job, facilitate the offense. Then you have guys that go out there and they can win a game by themselves.
Right.
Those come few and far between. You can't just get them out the local Cracker Jack box.
No, I know, but that's what I want, and that's what I demand.
Well, I'm not like my pops used to tell me, hell, people in hell want ice water. You got to just find that. You got to just go pull it out of your pocket. I mean, seriously, man. I mean, trying to find what we deem a franchise quarterback is just so hard, man. And just like Tom Brady, Belichick just found a diamond in the rough. He found the GOAT. You know what I'm saying? He found the unicorn in a draft that didn't really have quarterbacks that were lighting things up.
Right.
Now the chances of the Eagles finding that, I don't know. I mean, you see Pickett being that guy?
I don't know. I mean,
how? No, I don't see neither one of those guys, and those are the two best guys in this draft.
Right now. Now they might develop that Carson Strong ends up with a great combine or something and gets shoved above Howell or some other guy that out of nowhere that maybe Desmond Ridder has a great bowl game, against Alabama. Like what if Desmond Ridder throws for 300 plus on the Alabama defense and for a couple touchdowns? Doesn't even have to win the game, but just has a really good game. All of a sudden, everybody's going to be all like Riddered up,
Well, as they should if he does that.
Right.
As he should if he does that. If he goes out and tosses the ball against that defense,
right,
then he's the real deal.
Right.
Just like Carson Strong. I was, thinking about Carson Strong, and then I did his bowl game. I mean, I did his game against Kansas State.
Right.
They rendered him almost useless out there by just blitzing him right up the middle.
Mm-hmm.
It was his kryptonite because he's not really a guy that has a lot of functional mobility.
Okay.
He's an immobile quarterback. He sits back in the pocket, 6'6", can toss the ball around. He's the, Dan Marino of the draft. But I mean, can you have those type of quarterbacks now in this new league? I mean, when I played, linebackers were like 250, 260. Mm-hmm. Now linebackers are small. Now linebackers are around 220, 225, 230. And fast as all outdoors because they have to cover so well.
Right.
You can't have that big, linebacker back there who's just going to stop the run. You got to be able to, go out there and stop the pass. And that's the difference between having that type of, immobile quarterback back then and what you have now. Mm-hmm. Running backs ran the ball. These days it's different. They came up the ladder. They went up the ladder with these new college coaches and this spread offense and having read option quarterbacks. All that stuff has made its way into the league right now. So what do defenders do? What do defensive coordinators do to stop it? They go out and find smaller, faster linebackers that can cover, kind of almost like a safety, but still big enough to be in the box to stop the run. So you have to evolve with what's going on in the league, and that's what's going on. They're trying to evolve all that. So we'll see, man.
Well, yeah. I mean, I would love to be able to remember, to recall back in 2001, Tom Brady's season, game by game by game, to see, what I would have been saying as, well, he's not the guy yet, or I mean, eventually he became the guy. I get all that. And maybe Jalen Hurts will. Okay. I'm open-minded enough to think that. But at this point, I just need a guy that's more accurate, number one.
Yes.
I'm not as concerned. It's great that he can run and make plays, on the fly with his legs. That's awesome. It's a great skill set to have, in addition to being a more accurate thrower and sort of a pre-snap reader at the line of scrimmage. And granted, I know he can get better at that. I don't know that he can become more accurate just with his arm, but maybe, like you said yesterday, he can become more accurate because he's a better pre-snap read guy and can determine right away where he wants to go with the ball based upon the defense that they're showing him. So I agree with that.
When he first started out in college football, they didn't ask him to do that.
Right.
So it's going to take him a little bit to learn that. A lot of these quarterbacks that come out the league now weren't taught pre-snap reads because they don't have pre-snap reads, because when you spread everybody out in these spread offenses, it's already unfolded in front of you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you don't have to read a quarterback. You don't have to read the safety. You don't have to read all that stuff.
Right. They're not as a lot harder.
Exactly.
Defense,
exactly. You playing against a guy, a team like back in the day when we played against the Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the hardest defenses to read because they wouldn't give you anything. They would have everybody standing up in a ball.
Right.
2 seconds before the ball is supposed to snap. And then all of a sudden, when they think you're gonna snap it, they'll run to their place.
Almost like a sugar huddle.
Yes, that's what it was. That's exactly what it was, Harry.
Yeah.
Now, can you imagine that you're trying to play against game plan Ray Lewis,
right, in a sugar huddle, and you don't even know where he's gonna line up.
You don't know where the hell they end up. You may turn around and look up, and I'm a left tackle, and I'm looking at Saragusa, who plays the nose, out there on me. Then I got Ray Lewis. He might be playing deep safety. They had so many different exotic blitzes, man. They had McAllister out there at cornerback. Mm-hmm. They had a squad, man. Dion was out there for a little bit.
Right.
They just had so many exotic blitzes, and they came from so many different places. One time, reason why Ben Roethlisberger got his start, we're playing the Ravens. The second game of the season, we won the first game. The second game of the season, we're playing the Ravens. Tommy Maddox, I mean, he ripped the first team we played. He ripped them apart. Came into this into this Ravens game, and all of a sudden, at the snap of the ball, during this exotic blitz, they brought literally 7 people off the left side. 7 people. The right side was blocking nobody. There was nobody there to block. On that blitz, they knocked Tommy Maddox out of the game. That was history for Tommy Maddox. He never played another step after that in a Steeler uniform.
He went ahead and sold insurance, I think, after that.
Exactly. Seriously, he did. He did.
Yeah.
And and from that point on, it was Ben Roethlisberger's show. He ran off, after we lost that game, he ran off 13 straight games. But it was that blitz where they brought 7 people off one side and left the right side. If we'd have just ran right, nobody would have touched us. There was nobody literally on that side of the field.
Yeah.
So if I challenged, I challenged people to look at that play.
They had all the guys on the right side of the defense. In other words, the left side of the offensive line is what you're saying. So if you would have ran right, okay, gotcha.
Ran to the offenses,
Offensive right.
Yeah. But when you run that type of blitz, they had nobody. It's not even that you can't even call that a zone dog blitz because they were just like, all right, we just got to get there. If we don't get there, we're in trouble because there was nobody literally from the center on that side.
Right.
Nobody.
Yeah.
The right side is sitting there looking at each other while the left side was getting mashed on, running. Right. Everybody running free. They don't mean that's hard for, anybody to pick up.
Right.
Now he's a veteran quarterback. He couldn't pick it up.
But a fire zone blitz or whatever.
Yeah. Fire zone. Yeah.
Fire zone. And did you see the video of Cooper Kupp after the game this past weekend? Being interviewed by somebody on, some sideline reporter, and he went into this whole detail about a play. My head was spinning.
Right, and you have to process that stuff right then and there. Yeah, well, it came with a fire zone blitz, but they had cover 3, but that's kind of.
I was like,
right. What? It took me a long time to talk in layman's terms so everybody could understand because nobody really would know what a cover 3 is, fire zone blitz or MEB blitz, or if I say, in cover 2, the corners have to stay in the flat area, they're squatting down. I could, I had to learn how not to talk like that so people could understand what I was talking about.
Right.
And you know how I did it? First, I was working on NFL films, and I was, talking with Jaws and Sterling Sharp, and they, and Baldy, and those guys, they told me, hey, man, nobody really understands what you're saying. You got to, really stop and understand that these guys don't have the football knowledge that you have.
Right. You
have to, get them. You're trying to coach them. You're trying to teach them as like a teacher to learn that stuff. So now, they can understand what you're talking about. So I started doing that. But what really put me in a great place in trying to explain stuff to people is I was in a truck at ESPN, and I was a content producer for them. I used to
doing college games,
doing college football games. And I'm working with Todd Blackledge.
Right.
Now, Todd Blackledge, I had a direct link to him.
He's pretty good.
He's great.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
So I had a direct link to him during the game. And when I'd see stuff, he'd tell me, just get in his ear. It doesn't matter what he's doing. He can listen to me and talk at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be in there.
That's a skill. That's a skill.
It's definitely. Yeah. So I'm trying to, I'm writing up this play, but I see what they're doing. I see what this college is doing. It was actually an Oregon game against Arizona. They had that Chip Kelly speed and Rodriguez. They run a play.
Right. You don't even have time in between the plays to really analyze what they did. Yeah.
So he was having me talk to him and say, all right, look, they're running cover 3 right now, but instead of buzzing that linebacker out into the flats, they're making that corner sit down in flat. And I'm telling him that, and he's talking, and he said, yeah, well, if you look, they're running cover 3. Now, usually you would have a linebacker to be out there sitting down. He kind of had the buzz out there, but they're not doing that. They're and I'm like, how is he doing this?
Right.
I'm talking to him, and as I'm talking to him,
he's saying something else, and then as soon as right thereafter, he repeats back what you just told him.
Harry, how the hell do you do that?
It's hard.
How do you do that?
It's hard. Yeah.
When I hear, when I'm on my studio shows and I hear, it took me a while not to answer the the producer. Yeah,
Mikey Moles.
Mikey Moles be sitting there. Yeah, well, what about this? And I'm like, yeah, what do you mean? And I'm thinking about, I can't say that because I'm on air. Right. I can't
answer him.
Right. At times, I know it happens to Ray because Ray will answer him.
Oh, he will?
Stop asking. Yeah. If he asks Ray a question while we're on air, he will answer that question while we're on air, whether he's hot or the mic is hot or not, whether the show is going on or not. You know what I'm saying? So he knows not to talk to Ray, but he talks to me like that now that he understands. I won't say exactly. I won't answer the question right there.
That's phenomenal.
But Todd was unbelievable at taking what I was saying. I like, oh, they're running counter trade, just like what the Hogs did,
Right.
I was saying, oh, they're running counter trade. They're deuce blocking the front side, and they're pulling the backside guard tackle and that tight end around, and they're blocking back on the
Here comes Clint Didier.
Yeah, there you go.
Or
so I'm
Donnie
saying
Warren.
that right, and I'm telling him that right, and he would say, after I say they're running that counter trade and they're pulling everybody, I'm telling who they are pulling. They say, yeah, this is just like back in the day with the old Redskins, and and he's adding stuff, and it was amazing, man, how he was able to do that, man. That's one of the smartest guys I know as far as talking football and putting it to layman's terms.
Right. Now, I just sent Xander the Cooper Cup. I don't know if he got it, but I sent it to him. It's worth hearing because
real question.
It's great. I mean, he's rattling it off, man.
I speak that fluently, so you guys understand. I speak it fluently.
Right. Here we go. Decipher this.
Touchdown specifically. Your defender went and blitzed. What did you see there? How were you able to use that to your advantage?
Yeah, they just had a little 3-deep fire zone, brought the nickel off the edge, safety dropped down. It didn't look like they were doing a replacement fire zone, so I knew at the back away we were going to get 3 pushing through. I had an opportunity to kind of run in there if I could beat my guy and just had to beat the safety to the end zone.
Touchdown specifically.
Wow.
Your defender went.
What?
Exactly. Say fire zone. And once they brought that blitz, nobody replaced that blitz. So he was able to run through the outside, and the 2 receivers on the outside kind of stretched the defense. And that's why he was able to get it, through
he
the
found an open area.
Yeah. That's like somebody speaking Spanish. I don't know Spanish. So I'll be like, huh?
What?
Well, just like that. I understood what he was talking about, but putting that into layman's terms, that is crazy, man. But that's what football is, man. Like all these plays, like the worst person to call plays was John Gruden.
Oh yeah.
He had, man, it was like a dissertation. Every play was like a paragraph long.
Okay.
Every time. I don't see how quarterbacks were able to decipher that.
Right.
Because all I had to listen to is like 322, like we go 322 Y stick nod X or whatever, say the routes and everything on the outside. Mm-hmm. All I needed to hear was 322, what was the blocking scheme, and 322 meant it was a 3-step drop. 22 was the protection.
Okay.
And 22 means that we only have one back that's going to be in. He might blitz if the sandbacker came. And Y stick nod was the tight end. The tight end was going to run a stick nod route. Mm-hmm. All I needed to know was that part of the information. But it was a bunch of dissertation after that, a bunch of stuff after that they were telling the receivers where to line up and what to do also.
Right.
I didn't have to get into all that.
Right. So
I would just
hear
that
out.
Yeah.
Right.
So I could focus just on, the beginning of it. And then at the end, he'll say the snap count.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's tough, man. It's tough for a quarterback to go in a system like that because he has to know the protection, know there's a 3-step drop, know the primary route, which is the first route that they talk about. Then the rest of that, just in case it doesn't work, he knows where other receivers are going to be at, and those receivers out there got to know what the hot route is from the route that he just said, the 322.
Right.
He could just say 22 Y stick now. That means it's going to be a 5 to 7-step drop. It's not a 3-step drop, and all that stuff is.
So they don't call it 522 and 722. It's just either 3 or just 22.
Yep.
Okay.
So 322. If it's 322, that means it's going to 3-step drop. Then you have 22. Means it's going to be running back. It's going to stay in and check the blitz, and then he's going to get out on the route. You got 25 is 2 backs staying in, and then they're going to get out. If it's 325, it's a 3-step drop. You got to cut them, and the backs are going to stay in. You got Fox 2, misses going to be a slide protections. It was so much stuff.
That's that West Coast stuff, man. Yep. There's a lot of verbiage, right?
Too much verbiage, man.
Yeah.
Too much verbiage.
Yeah.
A lot of quarterbacks aren't successful. That's why Randall Cunningham just couldn't get the offense.
Mm-hmm.
It was too much stuff for him to really sit back and internalize and read the defense and all that type of stuff, man. So he just decided, look, I'm going to go out there and freestyle. If you open, I'm going to get the ball too.
Right.
Period.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you can't do that.
Now let's get to this stuff from Cilio's show yesterday. How about that? He has his old coach on, Jimmy Johnson. And apparently they were talking about, of course, the quarterback situation here in Philadelphia. Listen to what Jimmy Johnson had to say about Gardner Minshew.
Game this week, for them just to go ahead and name Jalen Hurts the starting quarterback. Does that tell you that they're looking more at today, or do you think they're still looking at the evaluation process for the future of the Eagles?
Yeah, I think they've got to be looking. But, with your starting quarterback, you want to go ahead and, be all in on him. Say, hey, Jalen Hurts is our guy. You don't want to be wishy-washy about it and really mess up his confidence. And so, I think it was important for them to say Jalen Hurts is our guy. But by the same token, I think they need to be looking, or Minshew might be their guy.
Minshew might be their guy.
Wow.
Does he really believe that?
He can't believe that. I can't believe it.
I mean, after one game against the Jets?
Right. If he was that guy, he wouldn't be here right now. He'd still be in Jacksonville, at least competing for a job with Lawrence, if he was that guy.
Well,
but I don't see him as that guy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see him as our guy.
Right.
I mean, he could start somewhere in the league. He's done that. He can start for a Detroit or a team that's going nowhere. I want to win a Super Bowl, and I don't see Gardner Minshew being a Super Bowl quarterback.
I don't see Gardner Minshew. Honestly, I mean, nothing against Gardner Minshew.
He's fun.
Person. He's fun. Yeah.
He's fun.
His whole personality and everything is great. But when I look at a starting quarterback, I don't know if I can necessarily see him as this starter. And I shouldn't be like that, because I can remember getting pigeonholed into being a backup.
Mm-hmm.
I was a guy that was functional. I come in, I could start for 3 games, but they didn't see me as a full-time starter. I could come in and spot start for people. I could definitely come in and play during the game if somebody gets hurt. Once you get labeled that, it's hard to get that label off you. And I think Gardner Minshew has slid his way into being that type of guy. Hurts isn't at that point right now. Hurts is still in a position where he could still be labeled a starter and still be a starter, just as long as they still allow him to go out there
and because he's younger in the league than Minshew. We've seen more of a
Minshew's
track
been,
record
3
of
years?
Minshew.
Exactly,
at least, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, and I'm going to credit Mike Gill. We're going to have on at 12:30 because he put this other name to it, and I think it's perfect. Minshew could end up being the next Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Who's a guy that's going to be well-traveled throughout the league, get his chance to start, because of injuries or maybe a bridge quarterback situation. And he's be adequate enough, but he's not a guy, like I would never say that Ryan Fitzpatrick, he's fun, and he's functional, but he's never struck me as a guy that's ever going to win a Super Bowl.
Great analogy, because I think he's better than a Chase Daniels. Chase Daniels is a backup.
Right.
Ryan Fitzpatrick is a starter. He's just not he's what we call him, he's like a bridge builder.
The bridge starter. Yeah.
He bridges the next starter in. He'll be that stopgap guy that you can still win games with, but he won't be the quarterback that'll lead your franchise into the future.
Mm-hmm.
That's a perfect analogy of what you see. I see Gardner Minshew the same exact way. He's definitely a guy that can come in and start.
Right.
Win you a whole lot of games, but is he the long-term solution? I can't see him as a long-term solution.
Right.
But I'll say this, Hurts, it's still, in my eyes, a guy that can probably get better and get good enough that he could be a starter. He could be like a Trent Dilfer or like a Brad Johnson.
Right. But
a starter in the league.
You're talking about Hurts now.
Yes, Hurts.
But in this day and age, let's not go back to 2002 and 2000 or whenever those guys won their Super Bowls. Do you think – I don't think that do you think Brad Johnson could win a Super Bowl today, that kind of quarterback in this NFL?
Not in this NFL. No.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
No. But I'm saying I'm comparing him now. His skill set, Hurts' skill set as a quarterback fits what they're doing these days.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I say he has a better chance of being a starter than a Gardner Minshew.
Right.
Everybody wants a guy like Fields. Everybody wants a guy that can run around. Even the Jimmy Garoppolos, those guys can run around. They're athletic enough, but they can still push the ball down the field.
Right.
Everybody wants a guy like, the kid they have up in with the Buffalo. Man, I really think Buffalo could have won the game if he used him more than just a pocket passer. If they used him in the system that the Eagles have, he would be great. He'd be great because he could run the ball. He's a big kid. You know what I'm saying? He's a big guy that can run. Put him in that same situation in this offense, they probably would have lost the game, man. That's how good he could be in this system.
Interesting.
Running the rock consistently, man.
You like that idea?
I get giddy thinking about it, bro. I do, man. I mean,
getting back to the college stuff, like what Jalen was in college and what a lot of guys are in college. Those college coaches aren't necessarily there to develop you as a pro quarterback. They're there to win games. So they're not going to necessarily, take a guy like a Jalen Hurts as a freshman and a sophomore and try to make him a pro. They're going to try to say, hey, how can this guy win me 11 games?
Absolutely.
And
there lies the problem.
Right.
You
and I get that. I understand why. I mean, it's not necessarily, we call it a developmental league for the pros because it is, but it's not like they're there to say, I'm going to try to turn every quarterback that I have into what will be successful at the NFL. I want to see how can he beat, so-and-so this Saturday.
Well, exactly. And it's almost really bad when you look at a quarterback for Alabama because the quality of athletes that he has around him won't necessarily tune him into being a great quarterback because they have greater players than everybody else in the league.
Right.
So their better players are going to get open a lot faster, a lot better.
And you can say Ohio State too. I mean,
exactly.
Ohio State NFL receivers. I mean, same with Alabama.
So how much are you learning from looking at what the defense is giving you deal when you have two receivers that one runs a 4-3 and one runs a 4-4, and you got safeties and DBs back there that run like 4-5s.
Right.
It's just not fair. They're going to be wide open all the time. And you look at Hurts. Hurts had CeeDee Lamb back there. Come on, man. CeeDee Lamb is going to be open. He's open now in the NFL with the league's greatest, and he's still open. Can you imagine in college?
Hey, everybody's open in the Big 12.
Right. You're absolutely right,
I'm
man.
Partially being sarcastic, but
I know,
really.
but shoot, what defense?
I mean, I can still picture CeeDee Lamb just running. All you see is green turf next to him. I mean, there's nobody there.
So who is he reading? Who is Hurts reading?
Right.
He's not reading anything.
Right.
He may read to his kids at night, but no, he's not reading defenses.
Mm-hmm.
And people get, he doesn't know how to read defenses. You got to teach him. Right. He's learning now how to read defenses. Right. He never had to learn. In Alabama, he had like 3 or 4 guys that run 4.2s and 4.3 40s. Now he's at this level. Now they're teaching him, all right, you look here. Watch this safety right here. If this safety walks over 2 steps, it changes the whole play.
Right.
People understand when he says a game
to a different landmark on the field means something different.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I'll give you an instance. As an offensive lineman, when you're at the line of scrimmage and you look at the defense and you see the linebacker lined up and he's 2 steps over one way, it can mean a lot of things. If he's 2 steps over, that means they're going to run a blitz on that side that he's at. They might run an MEB blitz, you know what I'm saying, a Mike, Sam, and N. They might blitz on that side, or he might be moving over so he could check and get out and buzz on the flats, or
cover a running back in the flat. Yeah,
exactly. Or if it's a 3 technique that lines up and head up on you, that totally changed the blocking scheme or how you're going to run the blocking scheme. Don't let him move to a 1 technique at the beginning of the play. That really turns into a whole different play.
Maybe he's going to stunt or something.
Yeah. Little things, change how people run plays. And people understand, man, Jalen Hurts has a lot of learning to do because he didn't learn it in college.
Right.
But he does have the mental capacity to do it. He can become a better pre-snap read just by going out and doing it.
And here's the other thing. He has a work ethic.
Oh, exactly.
That's the other thing that you got to like.
He's a coach's son, so he's going to work his ass off.
Right.
Guys,
I got Barrett all geeked up here in the first half hour of the show, man. You are fired up. You know what it was? It was that fire zone stuff. Right. That got you all fired up. Thanks to Cooper Kupp.
I don't know if you knew Michelle Murray for NBC back when she first hired me. She said, "Right, you have to understand that me as a football fan of the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what a fire zone blitz is.
Uh-huh.
So when you say it, you're just talking and saying nothing to me. You got to explain to me, like, I don't know what you're talking about, because I don't.
Right.
I'm thinking to myself, wow, you're right.
You're right. She was right.
Yeah. So, I mean, I had to learn how to do it, man.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, you have. There's no question about it. All right, let's take a quick timeout. We'll be back with more. Don't forget, we got Mertitas coming up at noon, and we got Mike Gill at 12:30. Lots to do here on the middle, right here on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. Smash that like button back in 3.